Shut up and sit down.
Well, I'm eating spicy turkey. So random.
Okay.
Right, which is
That's
it's a
the
true
one.
statement. That's a true statement, but yeah, that's the one. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of The Bias Effect. This is your co-host, Nikki.
And your co-host, QJ.
Okay, we're back. We're doing our first episode about one group, kinda, which is funny, because I'm pretty sure...
Group breakdown episode.
Group breakdown episode, there we go. Because I'm pretty sure we've heavily talked about certain groups in other episodes, but...
We thought it would be fun to go through, like, debut and just, like, some drama and maybe, like, fun facts about some of the groups that we're into. And obviously we're going to start with Stray Kids because that was our first group together. So we're just going to... the history of Stray Kids.
There we go, Stray Kids. Well, the coolest thing to me about Stray Kids, from what I could see based on our limited research, but is that they're like one of the biggest bands to write their own music. Like, I think they like write I feel like 90% of all of their music, and I feel like that is one of the coolest things about them.
When I was looking at, like, I looked up some of the credit stuff because I was curious about it, and pretty much like almost all of their songs have at least one of their names or the Three Racha name attached to it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're like so Stray Kids is like literally listed, labeled as a self-producing idol group, which means that they write, compose, arrange all their own music. Obviously they have other people that help them here and there, but like majority of the work is done by them.
I can't even like fathom, first of all, like the amount of work that is for them on top of doing their other idol stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like a band that you like a punk band or whatever. They write their own music, arrange their own music, but it's like one album every 2 or 3 years. This is like 2 to 3 albums every year.
Exactly. I'm like, the amount they're just pumping out is, and it's like good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've listened to one album of theirs where I didn't at least like 3 songs. You know, like actually like 3, like minimum. There's only like one album that I don't like super care for, but there's still like jams on it. You know, it's that's the level.
The only album I wasn't super impressed with was Hop, unfortunately, which is like their most recent one. But like I still like songs off of it. Like Youth is still one of my like favorite songs by them. So like at the same time I also have like favorites on that album.
That's a crazy statement.
You don't like Walking on Water either.
That's one song on the whole album. I love like almost. It's not my least favorite album. Let's put it that way. My least favorite album of theirs is The Sound. I didn't really like The Sound, honestly.
I don't really know that the album separated beyond like these more recent comeback albums, so I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe one of the older ones I don't like more.
Yeah, I think so. The Sound has like 10 songs on it. But it does have like one of their. Actually, the only song on it that I really like is Scars, and the rest is the Case 143, but Japanese version, so it's like not even the first release of it. And then I think this one is the one that has God's Menu in Japanese, so it's like that's it. The other 7 songs on the album I don't really care for. So
I mean,
yeah,
anyway, either way.
Yeah.
I only say Hop because like we were like deep in the era of like waiting for comebacks and stuff, and I remember like listening to it and thinking like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was all right. Like I liked Giant more, which was the comeback like literally 2 months before that. So I was expecting more Giant, and it was like different.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say I wasn't like oh my god, I love this album or anything, but there's just some songs on it that I'm like, ugh.
It took some of the songs had to grow on me. I think it wasn't like an instant like love.
I loved Immediately You on that album.
Yeah, I did like that song. I was gonna say the Tableau song was really good.
Loved it. And then again, it was a weird, like you said, it was a weird release because we were already kind of exposed to all of their all of their solo songs via Instagram reels from their concerts. So it's like kind of like we already knew what was coming out, but anyway.
Anyway, I don't know. That had nothing to do with what we were going to talk about, but
How dare you?
You know how it goes. It's still good information. Okay, so anyway, Stray Kids, self-producing idol group. And the way that I thought it was interesting the way they were put together. I mean, I guess I don't know how groups are usually put together, but it seemed like this was like a different thing where like they were put together before that show that they were on came out.
Hmm.
It's called the show was also called Stray Kids.
Oh, really? It was called Stray Kids?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And like they as a group were already like picked to be in that, like the 9 of them were there as a group, and the point was to like make it through the show together to see if they could debut together. So like
Oh.
technically Stray Kids was already chosen before the show even came out. It was just like, will all these people stay in Stray Kids?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like I don't know if that's like usually how it's done. I don't doesn't seem like it to me. It seems like it's like
Yeah.
much larger groups and then they just like whittle you down into like a team or whatever. So I don't know, but apparently Twice was the same thing, and that's another JYP group, and they also were on a show chosen like that, a show called 16.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, I didn't know they were already together starting that show.
Yeah, it's like literally only the 9 of them on there.
Mm. Fascinating.
Nobody else. Because I always wondered like who might have made it on the show, because as we go through it, like Felix and Lino were both eliminated from the show. So I always wondered like, did anyone else get eliminated from the show? But no, because there was nobody else. It was just them.
Which makes it even crazier to me. Like that, okay, because we've seen a lot of the clips from that show, and it's like heartbreaking to watch some of those clips. But basically, and that makes more sense why they're so heartbroken, because they formed that group beforehand, and they were like, yeah, we're great together.
Like the point of the show is like all 9 of us will get through this and we'll debut together. So it's obviously like worse, more heartbreaking for them when someone gets eliminated, because it's like we were supposed to make it all through together.
And it also kind of like, from like a cynical standpoint, like it makes sense why JYP might have like just kicked them out, but like knew he would bring them back.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
Like, that's so messed up to still like absolutely crush their souls and their dreams and be like, oh, I was just doing it for the show.
Yeah.
Excuse?
Could be. Maybe he really thought those things, but maybe it was just like, we'll bring him back later.
Because
what I thought was interesting is that like it's only 10 episodes, and I guess just like straight off the bat, Lino is eliminated in episode 4, and Stray Kids and Felix is eliminated in episode 8. So really there's only one episode, number 9, where Felix is not in the group, but there's like 6 episodes where Lino isn't in the group. So like he doesn't do the same, and they say he gets eliminated because he's lacking skills.
Bro.
But then he doesn't do 6 episodes worth of like practicing and working on things and stuff. So that makes me think that maybe it was just a bit for the bit, because like people, maybe I don't know if people know that Lino was a backup dancer for BTS for like 4 or 5 years. So like he obviously had skills. So maybe they were like, we can afford to lose him for a couple more episodes. It's like that's what my thought process is.
Like he's talented enough that when he comes back, he'll
be fine. Whereas maybe Felix needed some more work.
Well, yeah, Felix kind of makes sense to me. Like if you are gonna like, I don't think Stray Kids would be the same without Felix, absolutely, but I could see where you're going to cut someone because he doesn't speak Korean very well at the time.
For sure.
So, sure, that makes sense. But yeah, Lino, I didn't realize it was so early either. I'm like, excuse me? Like, he's literally the best dancer, one of the best dancers in Kpop I've ever seen. Period.
Yeah, he's only in like 4 episodes, and then the very last episode.
And he's like absolute visual, and he sings like an angel. Like, I don't know if his voice, I don't think his voice would have changed that much between now and then. Like, maybe he made it better, but
well, the thing also in the like through the show, because they start as a self-producing group, so they also have to write their own songs and put together a mixtape for by the end of the season or whatever, and that is their first release, like mixtape 1 or whatever it is. That is from the show. All those songs were like written and worked out during the show. So like to your point, where it's like, if he was lacking skills or whatever, he still made it on the album, like without being there for 6 episodes.
Oh, right.
Like, so obviously he wasn't lacking skills, because he didn't like fall behind from any of that.
Oh, and like some of the clips I saw too, like JYP was like so. Again, I haven't watched the full thing, so I don't have full context. But he was like, seems so freaking rude to them. Like I remember, and that like the point that you said the album release. Elevator, he like shat all over Bang Chan to be like, oh, you wrote this in like a female key? What were you even thinking? I'm like, it's one of the most popular songs, and they call it back in Stray Kids the song, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
shut the F up, JYP.
I think
Doctor
that whole
Genius.
thing, that whole like clips, those clips you see of him like shitting all over him, that's from the episode that Felix gets eliminated from. Because from what I was reading, that whole episode was like everyone was kind of like not doing well. Like a lot of people were getting shit on it. It was like his thing's bad, everyone's stuff is bad, and then they get rid of Felix at the end.
Oh my god.
You're like, okay.
That's brutal. And that song is so good. I loved that song. When I first started listening
It's a great
to...
debut song.
It's great. Oh, anyways, that's an interesting start though for them.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. They bring them back for the ninth episode, I think, and then the 10th episode is like, you know, the final thing. Can we debut? Can we make it? And they did it where like there was two versions of Stray Kids. There was a 7-man group without Lino and Felix, and then a 9-man version with them in it, and they performed both ways. And then they had an audience vote for which version of Stray Kids they thought it should be 7 or should it be 9. And 96% people voted for 9.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Like 96% of people were like, yeah, all of them.
Yeah, well,
I've never seen numbers like that. Like if you watch like American Idol or something, it's like 60%, 70%, whatever.
96.
Yeah, I was like 96. That's literally everyone basically. You might as well just have said 100%.
That 4 other percent, they must be like, oh. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, the absolute thought of Lino and Felix not being in Stray Kids is very bizarre. And it's funny to me when I think about it that Woojin the whole time was just there and always going to be there, and he's the one that gets booted later, which we'll talk about. But that blows my mind that he's just like was there the whole time. I was like, this guy?
Yeah, it sounds like
the visual whole.
Personal opinion. No offense to anyone. It sounds like in the realm of the self-producing, he might have done some of that stuff too. Because I was looking at the credits for that first album, and like there's 1 or 2 songs where his name is listed as well that he wrote like lyrics for or something. So I'm guessing he was part of that. He wasn't part of 3 Racha, but I'm guessing he was like, you know, one of the guys also doing. I mean, they all kind of like write lyrics from time to time, but early on he was one of the earlier ones anyway.
Yeah, I noticed that as well because I was trying to figure out on Spotify if there was still tracks with Woojin on it, and there are, which I discovered because I was listening to, I forget what song exactly, but I was like, I do not know whose voice this is, so I was like, oh, it's definitely him. And then looking at credits, you can see, he is credited very early on. But like you said, later albums, a lot of them, most of the guys have written some form of lyrics or songs. But
and I thought the other interesting thing I mean, I think it's something that we also kind of knew, how Ian is, because he's like the youngest, he was like apparently on the chopping block a lot, which sounds just like devastating to me that like every episode he's such like a baby, right? He was probably like so stressed all the time. He must have had to work so hard.
So like how does the show like work? Does each episode like kind of end with people on a chopping block like you're saying?
I think it's like at the end, having never seen an episode, but I think by the end it's sort of like a performance review where it's like, you know, you're not really doing that well, so like get your shit together or like you might get cut.
Right.
I think it's something kind of like that, because there was like the way it broke it down, it was like safe, at risk, like whatever. There was like little levels for everyone for each episode, and it was like eliminated, brought back, and stuff like that. So I'm guessing it's sort of like a performance review thing where they're like, if you're progressing well or not.
Right. Okay.
And it just seemed like he was always like in danger. I'm like, oh, he's so young, leave him alone.
Yeah, he would have been like, I feel like he was super young when he started. He must have been
well,
like
they
16,
debuted,
17?
so what I say, they debuted 2018, and he's born 2001, so 17 when they debuted.
Good lord. During the training.
Yeah, so probably like 16 when they were doing the show, and then who knows how long he was training before that.
My goodness. Sheesh.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
And just the one more iconic clip that we have to talk about before we move on from this show is when Lino does get friggin' eliminated.
Oh yeah, it's so tragic. That comes up. I wrote down the exact episode?
I think he said it happens in episode 5.
Yeah. And so yeah, in episode 5, they're on like some I guess they also go on like excursions because they're on some like camping trip or something when they do this, and they show them this video of Lino like saying goodbye to them on the 5th episode, and it's like it's so sad. He
It's
like
the
calls everybody out by name and is like, "Thank you, I love you, you're the best." And like especially Han, he's like, "When they made me do these things I'm not good at, you held my hand." It's so
and
precious.
that lore continues on to this day. Of
Mm.
course, there's a whole song on Hop that Han wrote called "Hold My Hand." There's multiple
Yeah, and
things.
everyone's like, well,
I mean,
what is it?
there's a lot of like, even in the song, kind of allusion to it, but yes, deep set lore through the whole group. And then I think he also talks about like how he like literally walked all the way home like in the
Oh,
rain
yeah,
afterwards or something. You're like, I
Yeah,
don't know if
later
that's
he said
100%
he
real,
walked home alone in the rain or something.
because
like
it's what
the
he
saddest
deserved or
thing.
something. You're like,
The most like
bro.
cinematic sad thing that you can possibly imagine.
Exactly. And the other thing that was shocking to me too about Lino, that whole Lino's message, was how affected Sungmin was, because he's someone that doesn't really seem to show his emotions, but he was like shook by that message from them.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was so messed up. Even like Felix, when Felix is leaving, like Hyunjin and
Oh, they
Bangtan
cry
are,
like so hard. It's like
so hard.
and
It's like
when Felix leaves, I
intense.
always find like the most like tragic and heartwarming thing when Bang Chan's like, "I'll never leave you behind. Like, just always
Stop.
look for me." And I'm like, bro,
Stop.
what are you saying?
I know. I know. The Australian bros, the Australian strong. Oh my gosh.
But he said like Bang Chan's was like a trainee for a long time.
Like,
He
a
joined
long
JYP
time.
in 2010. So 8 years he was a trainee. So like obviously he must have seen a lot of people like come and go.
True.
Now you're the leader of this group that's supposed to make it through the show, and your people are leaving.
I know, we don't really talk about, we haven't spoken about that much either. Like, he was like a child. Like,
Yeah.
Baekchan left home at like 13, 14.
Yeah, I think
to
he
go to
said
Korea.
he left when he was 15, I think. I saw that in an interview recently. I think he said 15.
Yeah. Oh, again, I don't know if that's Korean years, but if you do the
But
like
if he's
math,
97 to 2010 when he joined, that's 13.
yeah, that's exactly. So that's where I go. I think he was young,
Well, yeah, so he literally must have left home at 13 then.
which is like an insane thing to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially like I can kind of maybe see it if you live in Korea and you join a group or join a company in Korea. You're not really like leaving your country. But he literally left Australia to go to Korea by himself at 13.
yeah, like his parents didn't come. He has a sister and brother that are still in Australia. He left by himself. Like, obviously his parents supported him, like,
Yeah.
financially.
I'm
of
sure there
course,
was like something, yeah, some kind
and
of.
who knows, maybe he had family over there. I have no idea about that, but
That's so crazy. Yeah.
that's a lot. And no wonder the pressure he puts on himself, because it's like, I am not only like supporting myself here, but like I'm supporting these 6 other members.
Now I'm suddenly in charge of all these other people.
Sorry, 7 other members. Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
I always think about that, and I'm like, he literally forgo his childhood. I know there's a whole song.
Gave up his youth.
Gave up his youth.
For his future.
That's anyway. That's crazy to me. And the rest of them were just mostly trainees. I think the only other one was Sungmin, who won a contest or something.
Yeah, some
right?
kind of like audition contest that he won, and that's how he got in. But yeah, everyone else just seemed like they were kind of trainees. Or I thought it was interesting that Woojin was at SM before he was at JYP, so he was like a serial trainee, I guess. Just I saw it was interesting.
Yeah, maybe that leads to other reasons. He's not loyal to anybody.
But we don't know anything about this man personally.
I really don't. I don't know it. Yeah, I know. I don't know much about that.
I thought it was fun though. Like we've said before, we want to watch the show, and like obviously, when we get around to it, we can do more of a deep dive. But in reading about it, it seemed like there were a lot of like cameos also. Like you see like twice through the show, and I saw a lot of references to GOT7 and like members from GOT7 coming in and like mentoring them or giving advice and stuff, and like, a lot of instances where Bam Bam comes in, I guess.
Oh, cool.
Which I just thought was kind of fun. Like if you watch the show, you can kind of see
I mean, that'd be
other idols popping in.
yeah, that'd be crazy if you're like, I always that's also another wild thing about idol culture is that to think that like you're just like you kind of just know all of each other because you're in these like
Yeah.
groups or I guess if you're more with the same company or whatever, but like to think that Lino just like knows all the BTS members and probably maybe spoken to them, like that's just a wild thought in my
Yeah,
head.
if he's
You
like
know?
ever like had a conversation with them.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's like all connected like that, and yeah, so that would be interesting. Yeah, to see cameos.
Cameos. In my research I found that Three Racha was formed before the
Hmm.
show. So like they were like a three-man group. I guess that's why they were brought onto the show as like a team, like because it's
Mm.
supposed to be producing or whatever. So you bring your little producing team people on there. But apparently they formed in 2016, which is 2 years before the debut.
Oh, okay. So again, the subgroup stuff is so fascinating to me because I don't fully understand it. But I guess that kind of makes sense if they were just like formed as like the producers, like
Yeah,
they
like
all
well,
just.
so apparently they released a couple mixtapes under Three Racha before they were in Stray Kids. So my
Mm.
guess would be that like while they were trainees, they must have linked up and got along, and maybe the company encouraged that as like a little sub team, thinking that in the future they could add a couple extra people around them to like to have this like self-producing team going.
Became one of the most popular groups ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, though it kind of reminds me a bit of BTS, right? They had the rap line there,
Well, yeah, like
Suga
they
RM.
well they I guess they built it around RM, right? So I guess it's yeah, it's a similar idea. Maybe they had this like little three Racha producing team and then they built people around that to form like a full group. But I thought it was interesting, like if you I guess if you look, it says SoundCloud and YouTube you can find their album, their mixtapes, but at one point they said they were going to drop a mixtape every 2 weeks. So there must be like a ton of songs out there just by them.
Oh my goodness, I have to
Yeah.
look into that. But
And within Three Racha, apparently Changbin and Han do the verses, and Bang Chan usually does hooks and melodies. Supposedly.
ooh, I don't know. And I think like if I recall too, Bang Chan's like the more overall like producer composer of a lot of the
Yeah, I
songs
guess
too.
that's
Like
why they sort of classify him with hooks and melodies, so that he does like
mm,
like the overall tone of the song, and
right,
the other two do like verses and things like that.
and
But a quote that I saw, they are mentioned, they are like lauded for how fast and good they are at making music. Some producers even said they could write verses on the spot.
that's what I was thinking. That's what I'm saying. Like the amount of music they turn over, how quickly they turn over music, and it's not garbage. Like
Yeah.
it's really good. Like, that's what I'm saying. All their albums I've listened to, I don't think I've really heard a truly bad
Yeah.
song. Maybe song that you're not so into, but I. That's what the thing that blows my mind is how
Hmm.
impressively talented they are. And I also think I saw once like I don't know if it's real, but I saw a quote somewhere once where Han was like, "Yeah, I just like burned 30 of my songs because they weren't good enough," and I was like, you
Yeah.
had 30 songs just like there that you just didn't think were good enough
Yeah.
that you just burnt. Like, so how, like, I just, in general, musicians blow my mind that way.
Yeah.
The idea of me trying to write lyrics,
Oh yeah, it's
period,
embarrassing.
I go, it would take me a year, probably, minimum, of trying so hard to get
Yeah, I'm
lyrics
trying
out.
really hard.
Really hard. And then forget the music part. But I've heard some people, like, there's another, non K-pop, but a musician I listen to. Her name's Marina, and she says that too. She's like, "Yeah, I wrote the song in 15 minutes, and it's like a fucking
Yeah.
great song." And I'm like, "How do people's brains are just wired
Yeah.
differently?" Clearly,
It's I thought it
but
was like it's just like a testament to them that like other producers and other like artists were like, yeah, the what
mm,
they're saying is like true. I've seen it in action, and they make like incredible stuff, and they make it like quick.
that's yeah, unbelievable.
Which led me to I was wondering about like because we've heard a few times about the credits that they have. Like Bang Chan has like the third overall or whatever it is. So I was like really curious about it because I never once thought who's number two and number one. I was always just like he's the top. But yeah, still as of January 24, 2025, he's still the third credited artist with 205 credits. And second is RM. I did not even know that with 230,
Well, this lines up.
which I thought was like, yeah, but I thought it was fascinating because like RM's been in military for like a little over a year, right? And like still no one caught up when he wasn't working at all, and no one's caught up
Well,
yet.
he's been around for so long.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
right?
He must have like pumped out so many. Like, there's not that many BTS songs.
Well, no, but he also did like 2 solo
Yeah.
albums.
But he
so
must have just been like
that's,
blasting
all...
them out because like there's still like a 30-song gap there.
Well, yeah, let's see. It would have been 5 years that BTS was in production before Stray Kids even started.
Yeah.
So, but no, I didn't know that either. I didn't know RM was so high up. I knew he wrote music. I didn't think he was that involved in writing the music though. So.
And then the top person's someone named Ravi from VIXX. I don't know what that is though.
But not by much. Only by 9.
But I was also surprised looking at the list. I was surprised that 5th place is a guy from 17. I didn't even know that they wrote their like. I don't really know anything about 17, but like I didn't realize they wrote or somebody writes songs for them. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when I saw this list. And then Day 6 too, another JYP band, is number 4.
Yeah.
And then in another interesting notes, August BTS as well.
Yeah, well, like then number 8, Changbin is in the 8th spot with 176. And yeah, I thought I mean, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised, but August was 10th with 169, and Han is right below him, like one song off, almost caught up to him.
Oh yeah.
And then Hongjoon's on there too, number 14.
I know, I love to see
152.
it. You love to see it.
And J-Hope is under that. J-Hope has less than Hongjoon.
This is what I'm saying, man.
Crazy.
I don't understand. So what is these are songs copyright registered with the Korean Music Association. Yeah, because I always thought about it with Hongjoon. We'll break it down in another episode, but I'm very curious about his progression in music. But we'll see.
Given his like history with ATEEZ.
Yeah.
But then I also thought it was just a fun like aside that Minhyuk from BTOB is number 19. Okay.
Yeah, we love to.
One of the most attractive people on the planet. Just thought it was an interesting throw in.
Well, it makes sense, like, if you look at this list, because there is a show which we'll cover, Road to Kingdom, I think, and it was a bunch of different bands, like, linked up together to try to, like, I think they had to write a song and perform it towards the end. Anyway, the 5 people that wrote was Bangchan, Chanbin, Han, Minhyuk, and Hongjoon.
Yeah.
They were the 5 composers for that, and so interesting to see that they're also on the top 20 list.
Yeah, they're all like in the top 20.
And obviously it was a banger of a song. Okay. But yeah, so Stray Kids are also, their image is quite good, clean. There's not a lot, and they're not even like overly sexy, let's say. You know, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, but that's not their image. Like, if you're comparing to like a tease or something, they're
yeah.
But, and they only really had one, I think, from what I recall, one major drama, as it would say, and it's Woojin's departure.
So yeah, like Stray Kids started as a 9-member group, but then one member left. I'm trying to remember when he left. 2019. He left in 2019. So he was only with them, I think, March 2018 to October 2019. So about a year and a half.
That really was short, eh?
Yeah. But they blasted out a lot of albums in that time, because in going through it, I was like wondering like which albums he's credited for, and he was on their first 5 albums. Mixtape, I'm Not You, I'm Not, I'm Who, I'm You, and then Clay 1. But then I was a little unclear because what I was reading was that they re-recorded Clay Levanter without him after he left, but there's like 2 or 3 Clays before that, so he must have also been on those ones. So that's like 6 or 7 albums.
He was. It kind of, again, we talked about how fast they put out music. I didn't realize it was that short of a time when they had.
I mean,
that many
that's like
albums
6
out.
albums in like a year and a half. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, they're mixtapes, so I guess arguably they're shorter albums or EPs or whatever, but still, it's a lot.
Still, it's mini albums. Yeah, so like their first mixtape is 7 songs, and that has like, again, a bunch of bangers on it, and then the whole I Am series, and then the Clay series. But I think one of the songs I was talking about where I can so clearly hear Woojin is on Clay Yellow Road. So he's in there.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, like they said, like officially they re-recorded Levanter after he left, and then just over time they've like re-recorded some of their older songs, but they didn't re-record everything before that.
no.
But anyway, basically he started as like he was the oldest member at the time. I don't think he was ever leader though, but he is technically older than Bang Chan. His birthday in April '97, and Chan is October '97. So he was like the oldest member at the time, and he was part of Vocal Racha, I guess. And I saw some stuff saying that he was like the main vocalist, which I thought was interesting because when I hear those old songs, like you can hear him, but not to me, not in a main vocalist way. But
I wonder
I know
too.
they put their weird labels on it, like we've said before.
Yeah.
Who's the visual? Who's the main? Like I don't know.
Yeah, it with the main visual thing too. Like maybe it's because he was the oldest, most experienced at the time.
Maybe yeah.
Because again, that's what at the one song wish I could remember the song, but I was like, oh, his voice stood out, and it was like a nice section of the song, and I was like, oh, this must be him, and I guess he was probably the vocalist. Cause
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like if he was part of SM before that, he obviously had like experience under his belt, and
like we said, he was a writer too, so he
Yeah.
probably had a good concept of music. Okay, cool. But he left, and it was
allegedly it's all alleged, and like some of the stuff I was reading was saying that some of it was even proven to be not true later, but it was already like too late. He'd already left at that point. But at the time, allegedly he was attending like hostess bars and stuff, which is like a breach of contract with JYP. Doesn't allow them to go anywhere. Apparently they're not allowed to go to bars that only have female waitresses or whatever. It's like it's just so, I mean, I don't, that's all alleged as well, but like still it was enough of an alleged thing at the time that that's kind of why people say he left. But like it's all, apparently there's like major defamation laws in Korea that even if it's true, you still can't really say anything because they could claim defamation against you, and like they're pretty strict there, and like you'll have to pay. So like there's still like not a lot of information about it, but that's what they were saying at the time. But then apparently later there was proof coming out that that wasn't true.
yeah. It's all
So who knows? We don't really know. I mean, there's the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, because why would you have left in the first place? And why would your ex-members not really care ultimately? Like at the time, you can see videos from back then where that one video of Hyunjin where he like cries because he's like, we worked literally so hard and now we have to do it all over again.
yeah.
But like other than that, it does just seem like I'm sure it's part of the defamation thing too, but they don't ever really talk about him. And when they do, it's like fans have always said it kind of comes across in sort of like a negative way where they're just like fuck that guy kind of.
Yeah, from anything I've seen, it was kind of like it left a bad taste, of course, in their mouths. Like you could see some live streams of Bangchan talking about briefly about it, but like not really. But like basically being like he made his decisions and it impacted us, and it was kind of garbage reason.
It was right.
But it was just.
I think it was right before a comeback.
Yeah.
That they were. I mean, I guess it was right before Levanter.
Levanter, probably, yeah.
But they had like it was also supposed to be like a tour, or like some sort of tour also was just starting at that time. So obviously like you have so much stuff to redo now.
Yeah, and they had to, again, we don't think about this part often, but they had to redo their entire choreography set. Like you going from 9 to 8, it's a big difference in a choreography whole. So like they had to redo all that too, and yeah, it was a lot of pressure on these. And again, these are all like kids basically, like 20 and under, like 22 maybe and under. I'm like, it's a lot of pressure to put on. And of course, a debut era, like they're still in this debut era, like it's all high risk. And then one of your band members leaves, and for general context for other people, when a band member leaves, it's massive for a group. Some groups never survive from losing a member. Of course, Stray Kids bounce back, and then like 5 years later, Woojin gives an apology, and I go, okay, sure, now you apologize.
That came out last year, right?
Yeah, like it was right when we started getting into Stray Kids. And we're like
he released like a YouTube video that was titled something like My Side of the Story or something strange like that. But like I watched that and like there's nothing in there. Like it's just talk. It's just like speaking to speak, but like no information is. There's
He
no
doesn't say
no
anything.
apology. There's no like explanation. There's no information there. It's just like a long video of nothing.
So 11 months ago, it's 5 minutes long. It's called Reverse Breaking the Silence.
Breaking the silence. Yeah, that was it.
And it was like, what? You're not even saying anything. Yeah, his whole video. Like, and yeah, and he's also, like, I think I don't know how popular he is, but he's a solo artist now. And I think his explanation in this video was that he said he didn't like, basically, the direction of the music. He wanted to make music the way he wanted to make music. So I guess that there's some tensions there between him and Three Racha, probably.
Maybe,
is what my base assumption is.
I mean, that's fair also. Like, you can't have 9 people always on the same page. Like, it's just not gonna happen. But like, I don't know, there's a right way and a wrong way. I know for sure that he broke contract. So like, it wasn't a question of like not renewing. That was like a real thing. Like, he broke his actual contract. So it's like,
and of course, like, yeah, again, like you said, the defamation stuff is so hard. Like, it's so hard to know like what actually happens, but of course all the fan edits, you'll just like people will be like, oh, like they had to like separate Woojin and this person, and you're like, okay, like take any clip out of context, it could probably be like, oh, they hated each other. It's like, well,
I mean, you can literally say that about Han and Hyunjin. They were like, they fought. I was just gonna
go there. Yeah, they did not like each other for a long time, or not a
supposedly,
long time,
allegedly.
Allegedly, and there's a whole song basically about their diss or whatever. But basically, yeah, he left, and we weren't in the sphere then, but it seemed like they weren't massively affected by it, like the outcome.
Yeah.
I think they were emotionally affected, clearly. Like you said, we've seen some of the members break down, and I think it must have been really hard for Bangchan too, as the leader, and I think he took a lot of the brunt of it as well, so...
Even like from a fan point of view, like seeing like Reddit threads and stuff about it, like stays that were around at the time were just kind of like, yeah, like we don't care. Like there's such a small tiny subsection of like Stray Kids fans that are like, we also like him.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just like, yeah, whatever, he's gone. Like, and they're not even that mad about it. They're just like, he's not in it anymore.
Yeah, it was so, I guess it
just doesn't really seem like anyone cared that much.
No, I guess it was kind of lucky enough that it was early on, but then I think about a situation like Rise, where that guy was literally...
That one makes me so sad.
So sad. But anyway, so that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's the other side, when someone leaves and it's, like, epic, like Rise. Like, that was a crazy situation.
Yeah.
If you don't know about it, look it up. But yeah, so... That was pretty much their biggest...
Yeah, like, they don't really have, like, scandals or anything.
No.
It's making good music.
Like, making good music. Well, yeah, with what time? That's literally all they do. Is they're in the studio performing, like, or at, like, some fashion show. Like, that's literally it. But I guess the best way to wrap it up is saying, yeah, they have broke records. Like you said, they have the biggest amount of credits assigned to them.
Yeah, they have a Guinness record for #1 charting albums on Billboard in a row. The last time that was done was One Direction, which I thought was fun.
That is fun. Okay, we want to talk deep lore between the two of us. That was kind of a band we kind of bonded over.
Yeah, we like jokingly bonded over, but actually really liked.
Yeah, exactly. I was resistant to this, and now look at where we are now. I'm all in of boy bands, so... but yeah, I think that's a pretty decent
Yeah, I mean, there's probably so much more, and like, if anyone listened to the last episode where we deep dived on the BTS concept thing, like, we know that Stray Kids has a concept, but we need more time to understand it. I don't think any stay understands it, so we need more time with that. But definitely something else that we'll continue to explore and look into. And we have a lot to talk about as the concert comes up, because...
Oh, yes.
We're going.
That's going to be exciting. We're going. Okay, let's just end it real quick. What is one of your top songs for Stray Kids?
You're just asking me cold like that?
What is the problem?
I have to pull a song out of my ass?
Yeah, you gotta have at least one that you can pull out. Well, I can start. Slump. Slump for me. Slump is one of my favorite songs of all time. That was one of my first songs of theirs that I just, like, was like, my soul has been moved by this song. And when I found out that Han wrote it,
Yeah, Something's a very beautiful song. Let me look.
it's fine. You could cut out the dead air. I thought it'd be a good way to run.
No, it is. I was just like, you know when someone's like, what's your favorite movie? You're like, I've never seen a movie in my life.
I know.
When you're like, what's your favorite Stray Kids song? I'm like, who are Stray Kids? I've never heard of them.
I know.
I tend to like favor the more like dancey songs. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like your favorite's always like a really beautiful, nice song, and my favorite's like thunderous.
Well, I mean, there's two sides, yeah.
But I like those are the songs that really drew me in, was like thunderous and like jam and stuff like that. Like those are like my kind of like pump up songs.
True.
I don't know about like favorite.
I know.
Though.
Well, I mean, top.
I feel like for some reason in my heart, Case 143 is like somewhere at the top, because as we like first got into it, obviously we were into the 8. Like 8 was the album that I was getting into first, but Case 143 was like one of the first songs from an older album that I heard, and I was like, oh, this song is a real bop. Like the songs are jam.
I could agree.
And I love the music video. I had also seen that very early on, and I was like, I love that.
I feel like that lines up with what I would assume. And then God's Menu is probably up there for both of us too. That's like such an episode.
I mean, Lino's Youth is one of my absolute tops, but like it's a solo song. It's not really like a group song.
True.
But I do really, that song, like, I love that song so much. I can't wait to see it.
You love... Oh, that's...
I know, I'm gonna scream. Ah!
Yeah, we'll definitely do a pre and post episode of that. So, well, that about wraps up another episode of The Bias Effect. We'll catch you on the flip side. Bye!
You make Stray Kids stay.
Okay.